So in the first question, the graph shows how a distance traveled by the vehicle changes with the time, which to describe the speed of the vehicle in each section. So the slope represent, for a distance time graph, the slope represents speed. If the slope is constant, it is a straight line. So it shows that the speed is also constant. So from section P to Q, the slope is constant. The angle of the line is not changing. Horizontal line, what about the slope? The slope is 0. And from R to S, again, it is a straight line. So what does it mean? It means the slope is constant. So PQ, the slope is constant, means speed is constant. Q to R, slope is 0, it means the speed is 0. And from R to S, it is again a straight line. So it means the slope is constant, so speed is also constant. So constant, 0, constant, A should be the right answer. The distance time graph, the slope represents the speed of an object. A stone is falling freely from a top of a cliff. Air resistance is ignored. Whenever we ignore the air resistance for falling object, acceleration is constant. So the graph for acceleration time, which because acceleration is due to gravity, which is 9.8 or rounded off to 10 meter per second square. So at A, acceleration is increasing because you can see on y-axis we have acceleration, so value of acceleration is increasing. For B, the value of acceleration is decreasing, so it cannot be B. For C, the value of acceleration is also increasing. So for D, the value of acceleration is constant. So horizontal line, it means the acceleration is constant, so D will be the right answer. In this question, a car travels along a horizontal road. The driver presses the accelerator to increase the speed. What is the acceleration? Acceleration is a change in the velocity divided by time. So the final velocity is 30, the starting velocity is 20, and how much time it took to change its velocity, that is 20 seconds. So it will be 30, the final, minus initial 20 divided by time interval equal to 20 seconds. So it will be 10 divided by 20, which is equals to 0.5 or half meter per second square. A spaceship approaches the Earth from a deep space. Near the Earth, a force on the spaceship causes it to have a weight. So what is the force which causes a weight? That is a gravitational force. This causes it to change the speed and the direction. So which type of force causes spaceship weight? That is a gravitational. And which property resists the property of an object to resist the change in state? That is called inertia. And inertia of an object is proportional to mass of an object. Like greater mass, if a spaceship is having a greater mass, it will have a greater inertia, or it will resist the change in speed and direction because of its mass. So the force that causes the weight, that is gravitational, and the property which resists the change in speed or direction, that is known as mass of an object. The diagram shows an empty box, and same box is filled with a liquid. The box has a mass of 60 gram when emptied. When it is filled with a liquid, the total mass of a box is 300. The density of a liquid is 1.2. What is the volume? So first, what is the mass of a liquid? Empty box is 60 and the filled box is 300. So mass of the liquid inside will be 300 minus 60, which is equals to 240. So 240 is the mass of the liquid inside. The density is 1.2, so we have the formula density is mass over volume. Density equals 1.2. Mass is 240 divided by volume B, or volume is equals to 240 divided by 1.2. So when we divide 240 divided by 1.2, so it will come out as 200 centimeter cube. So B will be the right answer. An object travel in a circular path at a constant speed. Which statement describes? So whenever object is moving in a circular path, it is continuously changing its direction. So due to the change in direction, there will always be a change in velocity, or the object is accelerating, or the momentum, because all the vector quantities will change as the direction is changing. So the speed is constant, so kinetic energy is not a vector quantity, so it does not change. Its momentum changes, that is true. Why? Because as it is moving, the direction changes. Momentum is a vector quantity, and vector quantities depends on magnitude as well as the direction. So momentum, velocity, acceleration, they are always there if the direction changes. So it has a constant velocity, does not have a constant velocity, because the direction is changing, it means the velocity is also changing. And it is not accelerating, that is also wrong. Whenever object move in a circular path, it always accelerates. So acceleration is always there for an object moving in a circular path. Which diagram shows the magnitude and the direction of the resultant force F1 and F2? So we can use a parallelogram method. What is a parallelogram method? If we start the two vectors from the same point, then the resultant, either a triangle or a parallelogram method can be used. So if we start the two vectors from the same point, then the diagonal, when we complete a parallelogram, for example, if this is vector 1 F1 and this one is vector 2 F2, so we have two vectors F1 and F2. So what about the resultant of these two vectors? The resultant of the vector will be the diagonal. So when we draw, like complete a parallelogram for this, so the diagonal of the parallelogram will be the resultant. So this will be the resultant. So F1 and F2 resultant is in this direction towards the right hand side. So which option it matches with? It matches with option A. In this question, two cars P and Q have a different masses, different speeds as shown. Which row correctly compare the momentum and the kinetic energy? Momentum is a product of mass and velocity. So when I find the momentum of car P, 1000 multiplied by 10, so it will be 10,000 kilogram meter per second. What about this one? 500 multiplied by 20, so it will be 10,000 kilogram meter per second. So both will have the same momentum. The momentum of car P will be equal to momentum of car Q. But what about the kinetic energies? The formula for kinetic energy is half mv square. So the kinetic energy of the P, so it cannot be option A, it cannot be option D. It's either B can be an answer or C. Then kinetic energy is half 0.5 mv square. That's a formula. So it will be half 1 by 2 is 0.5. M is the mass, which is 1000. So 0.5 multiplied by 1000 multiplied by 10 square, which is equals to 50,000 joules. That is the kinetic energy of car P. Kinetic energy of car Q, that is also half mv square. So 1 by 2, the mass is 500, but the velocity is 20 square. So it will be 20 square times 0.5 times 500, which is equals to 100,000. So when we get the product, this will be 100,000 joules. So the kinetic energy of the car Q is more than kinetic energy of car P, or we can say kinetic energy of car P is less than kinetic energy of car Q. So C is the right answer. Kinetic energy is half mv square, where The momentum is the product of mass and velocity. So a car of mass 800 kilogram travels over a hill. By traveling to the top of the hill, it gained 40,000 joules of potential energy. What is the height? So we have the formula potential energy, or P is equals to mgh. So 40,000 joules of potential energy it gained. The mass of the car is 800, the gravity is 10, and the height we don't know. So this 800 times 10, 8,000, and 8,000 will be divided there. So 40,000 divided by 8,000. So equals to 5 meters. So A will be the right answer. In question 10, a lamp is having a input power of 5 watt and it wasted 4. So what is the formula for efficiency? Efficiency is a useful energy or useful power divided by total power or total energy times 100. So useful energy is how much? Because 1 watt is wasted, 1 joule every second is wasted. So the useful energy is 4, because out of 5, the useful energy is 4, because out of 5 1 is wasted. The total energy input is 5 multiplied by 100. So 400 divided by 5, that is 80% efficient. Then the box contains the names of 8 different resources. How many of them are renewable? Natural gas is not renewable, geothermal renewable, solar renewable, waves renewable, hydroelectric renewable, oil non-renewable, wind renewable, and coal non-renewable. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them are renewable. In question 12, the diagram shows a dam holding back water, storing the water. The depth 65 meter, the density is 1000, the gravitation field strength is 10. What is the pressure exerted on the base due to water? Water is a liquid, so what is the formula which we use to calculate the pressure exerted by the liquid? So pressure exerted by the liquid is equal to density of the liquid, gravity, and depth. The density of the liquid is 1000, the gravity is 10, and the depth is 65. So we multiply them. So 650,000 Pascal or PA is the pressure which this water will exert on the base. So straightforward question, just you use the formula and get the final answer. In this question, air is trapped in a cylinder by a piston. The original volume is V and the original pressure is P. So here the pressure which we are applying is P and the volume is V. The piston is pushed to the left. As you can see, the piston is pushed to the left. The temperature does not change. So if the temperature does not change, we'll use a Boyle's law. According to Boyle's law, pressure and volume are inversely proportional. Like if we increase the pressure, the volume will decrease. So original volume was 50, as you can see here, it's written 50, but now it is 25. So what happened to the volume? The 50 become 25. Originally it was 50, now it is 25, so its volume become half. And what is the relation for a pressure and volume of the gas? They are inversely proportional. So if 50 become 25, it means the volume decreases by 2. So if the volume become half, what happened to pressure? Pressure will increase by 2, or pressure will be double. So new volume, originally it is 50, now 25. So new volume is V by 2, half. And what happened to pressure? Pressure become double. So V by 2 and 2P. So D is the right answer. As according to Boyle's law, when we keep the temperature constant for a gas and we supply, when we push the container, push the piston, the volume will decrease and pressure of the gas inside the inside the cylinder will increase. When liquid evaporates, some of its molecules escape from the surface and the temperature of a liquid changes. Which row describe the molecules, escaping molecule and the change in temperature? So during evaporation, what happened? The most energetic molecules which are there at the surface, they gain energy and they go out from the, so example, these are the liquid molecules. So most energetic, like the molecules which are having the highest amount of energy or greater amount of energy, these molecules will escape. As the most energetic molecules escape, what happened to the molecule which are left behind? They will have low energy. And as they have low energy, what will happen to the temperature? Because evaporation is a cooling process, so temperature of the remaining liquid will decrease. So molecules which escape are the most energetic. They have sufficient amount of energy to break the intermolecular forces. That's why they are most energetic will escape. And what happened to temperature of the liquid? That will decrease because evaporation is a cooling process. So the molecules which are left behind will always have a low energy. In question 12, a gas is there at a constant temperature in a container of fixed volume. The gas exerts a pressure on the wall of container and pressure is caused the gas molecule to strike the wall. Which statement describe a statement about the gas molecule when striking a wall is correct? As I mentioned, it is a constant temperature. Temperature is not changing. It means the speed does not change. Speed remain constant. Because the temperature of the gas affect the speed at which the particles are moving. If high temperature means particle will move faster. Low temperature means particle will move slower. So the speed of the molecule does not change. Then which statement explain about the motion here? The average kinetic energy of gas molecule, if speed does not change, kinetic energy is half mv square. So if speed is not changing, mass is constant, so kinetic energy will remain same as the kinetic energy proportional to temperature, so it does not change. The average momentum of the gas molecule changes. That is true because what happens as the gas molecules which are inside the container, when it hits the container, it bounce back, like it strike the surface and bounce back. So as a result, when it strike and bounce back, there is a change in momentum because momentum is a vector quantity. So if the moving towards the wall is a mv momentum, away from the wall it will be minus mv as the direction changes. So whenever the molecule collide with the wall of the container, they changes the direction, so there will be a change in momentum. Average speed of the gas molecule, that does not change, as they mentioned already that the speed is constant or the temperature is constant. The chemical energy of gas molecule, they are not, if they are forming any other substance, then only the chemical energy changes, but in the question it is not mentioned anything about the reaction, so the chemical energy does not change. So the only thing which changes when the gas molecule collide with the wall is the momentum. So in the lab, a piece of ice is there which is melting and there is a boiling water. Remember, whenever there is a change in state, there is no change in temperature. So melting ice, ice is melting, so there is a change in state. So whenever there is a change in state, what will happen to temperature? The temperature does not change. So here the temperature will be constant. Same thing, boiling water. So it means there is a change in state. So if there is a change in state, what happened to temperature? The temperature will remain constant. So temperature of a melting ice and a boiling water, because ice is melting, if it's a pure ice, it will melt at 0. And if it's a pure boiling water, then it will boil at 100. So the moment when the water is boiling or the ice is melting, because the energy used to break the intermolecular forces, that's why the temperature does not change for a melting ice or a boiling water. So you remember the heating curve, that whenever there is a change in state, there is no change in temperature. The diagram shows a liquid in a glass thermometer. Which feature give a thermometer increase the range? Whenever we want to record more numbers, we want to increase. So how to increase the range? We can increase the size of the capillary. Longer capillary will increase the range. So option A smaller internal diameter, like using a thinner capillary. What it will affect? It will make it more sensitive. It does not affect the range, it will make more sensitive. Thinner glass bulb, it will make it responsive or quick acting. The thermometer will react in a short time. Larger length of a tube in the stem, like if you use a longer capillary. So increasing the size of the capillary will increase the number of the which can be recorded. So it will increase the range, like we can record more values. And using a larger volume of a liquid, if you use a larger volume of a liquid here, so this will also make it more sensitive. So the question is how we can increase the range. So range can be increased by using a larger length of a tube and the stem. A copper container has a mass of 0.1 to 0.20 and the water is having a mass of 0.1. The specific heat capacity of the copper is 385. The specific heat capacity of the water is 4200. How much energy is needed to raise the temperature of a copper and the water by 10 degree? So how to know the energy needed to change the temperature? We have the formula E equal Cm delta T. That's a formula to know whenever specific heat is given, energy needed to change the temperature. E equals Cm delta T. So first we'll find how much energy is needed for copper. So for copper, Cm delta T, the specific heat is 385 plus M is the multiplied, not plus here, multiplied by mass of the copper, which is 0.2, multiplied by temperature change. We want to change temperature by 10, so multiplied by 10. So this will give us how much energy is needed for increase the temperature for copper. And for water, how to know? The same formula, E equals Cm delta T, where C is the specific heat of the water, which is 4200. M is the mass of the water, which is 0.1. And delta T is the change in temperature 10. The question is how much total energy is needed to increase the temperature of both copper and water. So we will add them, like 385 into 0.2 into 10 plus 4. So it will be like, which option it matches? 0.2 into 385 into 10 plus 0.1 into 4200 into 10. So it matches with option B. Like this is the energy which is absorbed by the copper, and the second one is the energy absorbed by the water, and we will add them, we'll sum them to get the total energy needed to change the temperature of water and by copper by 10 degree. So we find individual energy, separate energy, and then we'll sum to get the total energy. The thermal energy transfer through copper rod involve electrons. The second process, basically conduction. What happened in a conduction? We have a lattice of a positive ions and the delocalized electrons. So electrons are moving, that is one. And the second thing, what happened? There's a lattice vibration. These positive ions vibrate, transfer energy. So second process is a lattice vibration. So method by which energy is transferred in the solid, the copper rod, which is a solid metal, so that is conduction. And how it happen is by electron movement as well as lattice vibration. So B is the right answer. If it was a liquid like fluid, liquid or gas, then it will be convection, and convection occur due to difference in the density. The diagram shows four spherical objects of the same temperature. Two of them are small and two of them are large. Two of the objects are white and two are black. Which object emits the infrared radiation at a greatest rate? A, B, C or D? So which emit the infrared radiation at a greatest rate? Because dull and dark surfaces are good absorber and good emitter. And D is having a greater size than A and B. So when we compare, A and C are shiny surfaces, B and D are dull and dark. So which is a large surface area? D is having a large surface area. So it will emit out more energy every second compared to that of B. B will emit out, but the amount of energy, because of surface area is small, so amount of energy released will be less. The diagram shows plane wavefront which are diffracted. Diffraction means property of a wave to spread out when it passing through a gap. Which pair of change must increase the amount of diffraction? So if we want to increase the diffraction, we should narrow the gap and we should increase the wavelength. Longer wavelength diffract more than shorter wavelength. So the wavelength here, what we should do if we want to increase the diffraction, the wavelength should increase and the size of the gap should decrease. So when the size will decrease, so we'll observe maximum diffraction or the wave will spread out more. So diffraction is a property of a wave to spread out when it is passing through a gap or near the edges. An image is formed by a plane mirror, and the second image is formed by magnifying glass. Convex lens is a magnifying. State the nature of image. What happened in a plane mirror? Like example, if you are looking yourself into a mirror, so this is just our imagination. What happened? Like this is an object. The two light rays from the object strike the mirror and bounce back. So reflection happened. But these two reflected rays will never meet. They can never intersect. So what happened when we observe from the same side where the object is placed? So our brain create an image. Imagine that the light is coming straight from the object. So our brain reproduce these two light rays. As a result, we'll see an image. But this is just our imagination. In reality, it is not there. So if our imagination create an image, what we call this, we call that as virtual image. This cannot be seen or taken on screen. So plane mirror gives a virtual image always. And magnifying glass, what happened in a magnifying glass? When the object is placed near the lens, so we have focus F and 2F. When object is placed between F and focus and the lens, the two light rays which are coming out from the object, one parallel to the principal axis, will pass through the focus, and the other one through the center of the lens will pass straight. So these two light rays will never intersect. As the two light rays will never intersect, again, when we look from other side, our brain try to create an image, like produce them backward. As a result, when it produces them backward, our imagination is there. So whenever our imagination create an image, what kind of images we call that as virtual image. So magnifying glass and plane mirror always result in virtual images. In question 23, light the speed of a light is 3 into 10 to the power 8, and it undergo a refraction. The diagram is there. What is the speed of the light? So how to work out? Light is moving from air to glass. We have angle of incidence and angle of refraction. So first we find a refractive index, that is sine angle I over sine angle R. So it will be sine 55 divided by sine 33. So refractive index is 1.5. And after getting a refractive index, the formula for refractive index, speed of light in air, which is 3 into 10 to the power 8, divided by speed of light in medium. So refractive index is 1.5. This is 3 into 10 to the power 8. And we don't know. We cross multiply. So this will be 3 into 10 to the power 8 divided by 1.5. So V is equals to 2 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. So the speed at which the light is moving through this glass is 2 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. So first, using a formula for angle, we get the refractive index, and using a refractive index we find the speed. Then radiation from which part of electromagnetic spectrum used in remote control? So for remote control we use infrared radiation or IR. A girl notices that when she shouts into a cave, she hears an echo. Echo is due to reflection of the wave, so C is the right answer. Reflection of the sound is known as echo. The diagram represents the displacement of 4 different waves. Which diagram shows the highest pitch? Pitch means number of waves. Frequency or the pitch is having the same meaning. Number of waves per second, that is pitch. So which is having the highest pitch? D is having more waves per second as compared to any other. The number of waves per second is a pitch, and the intensity, the loudness, is refers to amplitude. The student suggested 3 methods of demagnetizing a steel. So placing in east-west direction and hammering, yes it will. Placing in east-west direction and heating, yes it will. And removing it from a coil carrying an alternating current, this will also demagnetize. Which method will demagnetize a piece? So all 3 of them are the methods of demagnetization. By passing AC around it, and we remove the magnet gradually out, so it will demagnetize the permanent magnet. So experiment, iron is a magnetic material, always induced magnetism happen for iron, always attracted. So if we bring a south pole, so this will be north, this will be south. And if we bring a north pole, this will be north, and this will be south, left hand side, and north. So the question is, what pole is induced at X? So that is north pole. And what pole is induced at Y in the second figure? That is also north pole. So A is the right answer. A polythene rod is rubbed with a cloth. The rod becomes positively charged. So when we rub the rod with a cloth, so when rubbing the 2 objects produces heat, and heat energy transfer the electron. So they mentioned the rod become positively charged. It means the rod loses electron and electron transferred to the cloth. So cloth get a negative charge and rod get a positive charge. So with charge move, always electron move. And what is the direction? Because rod is positively charged, so it means rod is losing electrons.